People hope all the time that things will just go away if they don't address it.
Hope is not a strategy.
This is going to sound, it'll be heavy, but the things that we don't heal from are the things that we pass down or share with other people. Mm-hmm. So my mom had claustrophobia. My mom was anxious. I learned that that was a thing. Not that she'd made me that way. I just learned that it was a thing, just like you learned about going underwater was a thing. My dad doesn't know how to swim still to this day. So we'd be on the pontoon boat together. He was terrified because if that boat, something happens, he's in trouble. Yeah. So like I don't know, he was probably 50 years old at our neighborhood swimming pool taking swimming lessons with a pool full of adults that didn't know how to swim, right? So then he was like, oh, well, he thought he was the only person in the United States that didn't know how to swim. And they're like, no, there's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to kind of point at there, so one, kind of recognizing your own fears of doing the hard things. Just be aware that you may be passing that off to your friends, your family, your kids, whatever it may be.
Yep.
But the thing that you said that I'm going to pull out a little bit was the thing that made your hard thing worth it was purpose. We've talked about the gap between knowing better and doing better is purpose. So the gap between thinking about the hard thing and doing the hard thing is purpose. It's like, why does it matter that I do it? Why does it matter that I run? So that I can learn, so I can be at my best, so I can, whatever, all the different things, right?
Yeah.
And so even if it's hard to battle depression. It's hard to be in a depressed state as well. I've struggled with that and battled with that. It's in one of my books, suicidal thoughts when I was a kid. Like it wasn't always sunshines and rainbows in my brain, right? But like being there and coming out of it gives me more confidence that if I start to feel a certain way, I know how to not let myself go, right? But when it comes to like depression and some of these things, and I'm not, by no means am I simplifying it. But it's really hard to be in that space, and it's hard to get out. But it's that first belief that it can be different. And that's typically the thing that helps people. That's like those brain interruptions to get through anxiety and depression is it can be different. You need somebody or something to show you a different way. And so owning that you're feeling that way helps people get through some of those things. And so people talk about, I was listening to a psychologist talk the other day about some of the patients that she has that are depressed, that she just encouraged them to go for a walk. Mm-hmm. And that was very difficult for them. They just walked down the street and back. Then they walked 2 blocks and back, right? So the similar to that stair-stepping model.
Yep.
And so what people started to recognize was it was their sense that they were stuck is also what contributed. Again, there's multiple like horrific things that happen to people and I'm not minimizing depression, right? Yeah. But the steps out of it is sometimes disrupting your brain patterns to get out of it, right? And so these people knowing, well, I can go a little bit further. I wasn't too tired. So then now she's saying these people are walking a mile and their depression is better because they're starting to believe in themselves, which then empowers them to start making new choices, of which the new choices then are helping them cope. Right? Not remove, not act like it's not there, not get rid of it, but cope with their feelings. Mm-hmm. But it starts with that one flip of a switch of it can be different. Mm-hmm. And it sometimes starts with purpose. Most of the time starts with why does it matter if I do it at all? Right? And I know, whenever I have a family, like I'm going to want to be able to do hard things with ease. But I'm training myself every day now for whatever hard things are coming. Yeah. So that I can be at my best for them, so I can show up for them, so I can be calm under pressure, some of those things. And so like I have that deeper sense of purpose as well. It's not just curiosity. Sometimes it is. But thinking about even like hard things can be a conversation with somebody, confronting, admitting to things. Like we talked a little bit about that before. We'll talk about another episode. But so if you are wanting to have a hard conversation, maybe it's with the person you're in a relationship with, it's hard not to have the conversation, and it's hard to have it.
Yeah.
But there has to be something that helps you kind of feel like, okay, why does it matter? Why is it hard? So on and so forth. Because the things that are easy to do are the things that are easy not to do. Think about all the easy things you want to do in your life. It's easy to do, same to not to do. But the things that are hard to do, I can't really say that it's also hard not to do it because it's actually pretty easy not to do, Yeah. So my encouragement really is like if somebody's going through something and they're trying to heal from something, it's hard, right? Like doing those hard things matters for yourself and for the other people around you. But then if it's in your relationship, and maybe it's start a new job, maybe it's start your own business, maybe it's, relocating, like moving all together, moving back with your family, moving away from your family. There's so many things that we're going to perceive as hard because it does something intrinsic. It does something inside of us. And that's often kind of how I would categorize things as hard is I can't just do. I have to like think, prepare, plan, dig in, grit, right? Grit is a great word for this is like, even when I don't want to, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And keeping more promises to yourself. And so it's something to where like, it can't help but affect every area of your life. Right. So I know you've talked a lot about running. So how do you feel that showing up on those hard days, showing up on doing those hard things, how do you feel like that's impacted you as a person, but also how you handle other situations that maybe are foreign or new or maybe even hard for you? How do you feel like that kind of prepares you for other things?
Well, I think running is an outcome of several other hard things that I've chosen to do, which is we dove into this, and I think the first episode we did together was how I left my job.
Yep.
And going after what I wanted to do, pursuing my passions full time. That was hard. Like we had 2 kids that were still in diapers at the time. We had just bought a house. And then I was like, oh, wait, let me quit my job. That wasn't an easy decision, but the weighing the options of I know what the ceiling is here, and that ceiling is not even hardly providing for my family, even if I do all the overtime and do all the things. And I have this thing that I love to do that there's no ceiling on, that I can push myself as hard as I want. That tipped the scales for me significantly, And so that was really hard to do. And I did it and I proved it to myself. And that was like one of the first steps of like, I can bet on myself and I know myself well enough to do this hard thing, and it succeeded. And, every year has went up so far, and we're 4 years in full time and everything's going great. We're now adding in other businesses, and I'm owning and operating them and running and figuring out solutions and all those things. So all these little stair steps that I've had of hard things have led me to this.
Yeah, builds confidence.
Which is running for me. And not that I want to become a marathon runner or anything like that. It's not about that for me. I have a competitor's mindset to a fault a lot. And that's another thing I've had to recognize. Even late, like the past 6 months, there's been a situation happen to where the situation's been boiling for 2 years, but it's came to a head, and it made me have to reflect on myself a lot and realize that I don't have to solve the world's problems. I need to focus on myself and my own problems. And if I do that, then that's what matters to me and my family and my success and all the things. So running for me came out of finding something else that I could do that I knew that I liked to do already. I knew I had a passion for running. Obviously, it was way shorter distance, but I've been on this sort of journey of finding my weaknesses and trying to at least improve on them. They don't have to become my strength. I'm not going to become the fastest runner, and I'm not definitely going to become the fastest long distance runner. And I know that. I've accepted that. I'm not, but I'm competitive. So there's a lot of people that are running, and if I see that they're going for a run and I was going to slack that day, that competitive drive in me is like, now I can't, So that helps me. It's kind of that comparison thing that people always talk about, where if you compare yourself to others, then you'll never really be happy. For me, it's just like if they're working and I'm not working, then I need to work, And so I try to do it in a healthy way to motivate myself to do something. If I'm in one of those days where I just want to lay on the couch today, but I was planning on going for a run, and that's where having it as a hobby and as a thing, I don't put too much pressure on myself to run a lot. It is something I actually enjoy to do now. But at first, especially those first couple of years even, it was like, I plan to run today. Whole day leading up to it, I was like, dang it, why did I do this to myself, Yeah. And now I'm like, if it's decent outside, I'm like, I get to run outside. I get to see the sunset tonight. I run around sunset time. And so on my way back, the sun's always setting over this one field that I run past. And every time hopefully I don't ever get hit by a car doing this, but I just run and I just look and watch the sunset over this field. The grass is just blowing just nice. And I get to do that. There's a lot of people who would do anything to be able to have that feeling and be able to run and to do that. And so I just try to take in those moments and those things. And that's what, seeing it as grateful, you know.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot on this podcast, is like being grateful for all those things. Like I get to do what I love for a living. I get to go for a run whenever I feel like it. I get to go on vacation with my kids, you know.
And
these
swim.
are all things that I've worked to do. You know, I couldn't run before more than half a mile. Now I can. So knowing that I've put in the work to do these things and knowing that I've worked to go on vacation, and those things have helped me and build that bridge across the river of feeling like you can't do something, or feeling like it's too big of a jump or too big of a thing. Like each little brick that you put in makes the bridge across the river, and then you find yourself on the other side and you look back, and it's way easier to build the next bridge once you've built the one. Yeah. And so you can use that momentum to carry you forward. And I don't even know what your original question was at this point, but I'm just going off on analogies.
Yeah. Well, one of the things too, I mean, what you just said, kind of obviously everything that you talk about kind of inspires some new thoughts. But one of the things whenever I work with my clients, we have to get out of the space of judging every effort that we're doing and just get in the habit of doing it. So if you set out to do 5 miles and you do 4 miles, if you beat yourself up, but if you really set out to run, I'm going to run 5 days a week. Now, if you're going to be as vague as that, then just do the running. Now, if you want to add some more accountability and some more other things, say I'm going to run 3 miles, right? Like, but when you add that specificity, it makes running 3 miles the only plan. So you just don't, when you get to mile 2 and it's uncomfy, you already have a plan for 3, right? So if you want to keep, like you talk about building, like you had a plan for a mile. If you just said, I want to run every day, you probably wouldn't be where you are, but you had specificity along the way because like that invokes this more focus, more attention, more discipline, more commitment, because you actually have a goal, and our brains just do better whenever we have a specific goals. But the other thing to kind of touch on too, so this flip on challenges, having them historically, right, they used to feel more like a threat when I'd get challenged. Now it excites me and it doesn't threaten me anymore. But that didn't happen overnight, right? It didn't happen one cold plunge later. But ultimately, like I get excited, but it's also this from obligation to opportunity, right? And that's where this abundance mindset and this grateful mindset really kind of settles into this place. Because if you didn't go for the run, you wouldn't see the sunset.
Yeah.
So using that in life, if you don't do the hard thing, you may miss the most beautiful thing. So maybe I want to see more beautiful things is the thing. So then you're like, well, the hard things is the path. The hard things aren't preventing you from doing and seeing and experiencing the beautiful things. It's actually the thing you need to do to get to where you want to go, right? Now, could you drive out to that same spot and see it? Sure, right? But you would never know that field was there if you didn't go for the run. And so there's so much on that journey of doing the hard thing, of wanting to do it because it matters, because you want something. Maybe it's self-worth. Maybe it's I am somebody who does hard things. So when you shift from this is a hard thing to I'm somebody who does hard things, again, that's where the power comes back, you know, and plus the affirmation of identity. Because if you tell yourself that's hard and you call it that, you're already kind of surrendering a little bit of your willingness and ability to do the thing. But it's like, you know what? That's difficult, but I have a plan. That's difficult, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's why I told you when I get in the cold plunge, I don't minimize it anymore because I don't want my brain to not forget we do hard things.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why David Goggins says, stay hard. As in like not hardened, but stay hard in the sense of facing the challenges. Right. He decided to do a pull-up. Most pull-ups, I think in one day or 18 hour, I don't know what the time frame was. And then some kid beat him. Right.
And then he went and beat that kid again.
And then he went and beat the kid again.
Because he got to do the hard thing.
Because he was staying hard.
Yeah.
Right? And the staying hard headspace is really stay comfortable doing hard things. That's all he's really talking about. He runs when he doesn't want to. People ebb and flow because they only rely on when they want to do the hard things. So that's really what his analogy really is. But he's a little bit more abrasive about it because some people need that. So that's such a gap from comfort that some people resonate with. I got to stay hard today.
Yeah.
Because David would say, stay hard, which means get on the road or eat the right foods, right? And so and this can mean absolutely nothing, but it's just I look for opportunities to challenge myself. I don't wait for them, just like you, right? You're not waiting for them. But I recognize that I just want to see what I can commit to, what challenges me. And so a couple of years ago, I decided to go vegan, not because I needed to, but I was just curious. So I went vegan for 60 days. It was December 1st. My birthday's into January. So I was like, I'm going to do it till my birthday. None of that was easy, but I was so curious about, am I disciplined enough? And so the hard thing is also, don't let your discipline become stagnant. Just because you were disciplined yesterday doesn't mean. So I look for opportunities to push myself. And then Ed Milet talks about the one more rep. It's hard to do that one more whenever you're exhausted. David Rohn even talks about having somebody do push-ups. And they're like, I can't do push-ups. Then he says, give me 5 push-ups. And they do 5 push-ups. And how many push-ups can you do? They're like, I can only do 5. He's like, do one more. And they do one more. And he's like, you could do more than 5. Right? So it's somebody interrupting your thought patterns. And that's why we were talking about this before, but listening to this podcast, listening to coaches, reading books, listen to people who are challenging themselves all the time, because you will inherently start to recognize maybe you can do some of the hard things that maybe you think about, maybe you need to do, maybe you want to do. And like I said, this goes across everything, right? It could be relationships. It could be finances. It could be, selling your house and downsizing is hard, right? And so it's really kind of getting comfortable doing the hard things and encouraging other people and be inspired by other people doing hard things. And because, again, hard for you may not be hard for me, but I can't run yet. I can't run a mile yet. I know that. But
I look forward to whenever me and you can go for a run together. Yeah.
Right. But I know I'm working on it. And so the hard thing for me right now is jogging at 5.0 on a treadmill for 10 minutes. I don't even know how far I'm going, but not a mile. But I know I'm going to get there, and so it's humbling yourself, knowing that you can do the hard things, and also having that sense of purpose when it comes to these hard things, because we're all learning and growing every single day. And again, just rephrasing this idea of always wanting easy. It's not where fulfillment is. It's not where success and confidence and esteem and optimism and gratitude and all of that really is. It's not in the easy things. It's learning how to look at the hard things through a different lens, a capable lens, an abundance lens, a powerful lens, not a victim lens. Are there going to be things that are challenges that you are a victim of? Absolutely. But what you do in that moment will determine whether or not it's a hard thing forever or whether it's a hard thing for a short period of time while you overcome it. But let's also not get into that set it and forget it, right? Because if you stop running, right now it's easy for you, but if you stop running for 3 months, that 6 miles is going to get harder than it is today. So,
sometimes during the winter, I won't run as much. I have a treadmill in my living room for that reason, but sometimes I won't run as much. And then my first real run of the spring is ooh, that's two minutes slower per minute, or per mile, and it's the same effort. What I felt as the same effort got me way slower results. Yeah. And so that's just talking on camera, that's another thing. Yeah. Talking in front of people, that can be another thing. I've made probably 1,000 videos of myself talking between podcasts, YouTube videos, and all this stuff. I got really, really, really comfortable on camera for a long time. And then I haven't made very many videos. Mm-hmm. The first podcast me and you sat down and did, I have made more podcasts this year. Mm-hmm. And it was still a little bit nerve-wracking for me to sit here that first one. And now we're 3 episodes in, and I feel like I could sit here and talk all day, and it's fine. Yeah. And it's also that if you fall off the bandwagon or whatever, it's okay to just get back on, and just keep going. yeah, you're going to lose a little progress, but losing all your progress forever isn't what you need to do if it's something that benefits you and is something you want to do. And so people do that all the time too, like New Year's resolutions. You brought that up earlier. They last approximately 10 days for 80% of people or whatever the statistic is.
Yeah.
It's because if your plan is to eat healthier, that's your resolution, or have some sort of a goal like that. And then you, on that 2 weeks in day, you binge, chips and dip or something while you're eating a movie, and you feel like you failed and nothing's worth it anymore. I shouldn't even do this anymore. And then you just take yourself down the path you were on, rather than being like, okay, that happened. Let me just keep going in the correct direction, or, the goal direction. That's where if you have a goal, I feel like we always come back to having a goal. But whenever you have a goal, it's like if you're wanting to go on vacation. So me and my family are going to Florida next month. For one, I'm terrible with directions, but if I didn't set a goal of where we were going, where am I going to end up? We're going to end up somewhere in the South, maybe, but we wouldn't end up at the place that we booked. We have to have the goal, and then we have to have the map, some sort of a roadmap. And there is even Google Maps offers you 3 different ways to get there. You can choose which direction you go, but it's all taking you to the same destination. Sometimes you need that, and allow yourself some of those, what do they call them? Detours, So allow yourself a couple detours, but the detour maybe take you 2 miles out of the way, but then it gets you back on right here and takes you to the same destination. Sometimes that's a benefit for people to hear, and that's been a real big benefit for me. A struggle for me is drinking enough water. I will just always default to grabbing a cream soda. I love them. If I could ever get a sponsorship of cream soda, that would save me a lot of money. But I don't know what it is, but those specific ones, it's not even any other brand. It's just that one specific brand. I just will always grab that. And so I either have to not have any of them in the house, or I have to make it way easier for me to grab water or grab whatever. And so that's another thing that I try to do. The more I run, the more water I drink. And so I use that in my head too, of if I want to drink more water, that means I got to run more. It works in my brain. It might not actually make sense.
Yeah,
but it makes sense in my brain. And then I end up drinking more water. And then I bought a big gallon sort of cup. And now my goal is to drink that whole entire cup. Average drinking that whole thing at least once a day.
Yeah.
If I just set that goal, whenever I'm sitting there editing, I can just have the cup in front of me and just sip water as I'm editing. I'm sitting there for hours at a time anyways. I can drink that whole entire thing.
Yeah.
And then I have accomplished my goal. Anything on top of that is extra.
Yeah.
So that's just another random struggle that shouldn't actually be a struggle. It's not hard to drink water, but it is hard for me to choose water over anything else. So I know that about myself. I just got to make it easier for myself.
Yeah. Well, and when you talk about the kind of setting yourself up, right? So this idea of basically not preparing kind of is a plan for failure, right? And so it's not relying on willpower, not relying on motivation, but relying on habits and purpose. And we'll talk a little bit more about this on another episode, but this idea of looking forward with concern, right? There's another great podcast that we'll talk a little bit more about when we do this episode, but looking forward with concern for your future self will lead to looking back with gratitude for your current self. So that person who's motivated, who sets the shoes out in the fanny pack and the water and all the things, right? That person is looking forward because he knows that the guy in the future is probably is going to need all the help to get on the road. So then whenever you are that guy in the future, same self, different mindset.
Yeah.
Then you look back and you're like, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I did that. Not that somebody else did that. So this looking forward with concern, looking back with gratitude is such a great way to start doing the things. And no matter what the thing is, again, if somebody has questions or they want to say here's a hard thing for me, put it in the comments. I will give you steps. So I will sit and talk with you. We will figure out a way, right? And this is what I do with clients all the time. They're like, I know I need to do this thing, but I can't do it. Can't figure it out. We talk about why it's hard. Then we talk about what are the things that they can be doing now to set themselves up for success, right?
Well,
and so
there's one of the, honestly, you changed my mindset about something recently, and I don't even know if you realized that you did it or not, but one of the things you said to me, we were talking about me starting a YouTube channel, and you just mentioned it there, like looking out for your future self, what you want in the future, you have to do now what will set you up for that future. And you said a quote to me, you said, hope is not a strategy. And I was just like, yeah, that sums up everything. Cause I'm like, oh, I hope this will happen. I hope this. And you were like, hope is not a strategy. If I just keep hoping, if you're going through anything, you're struggling and you're just hoping, someone's going to come save you out of a situation. You're hoping that you will never be in the situation where you have to go underwater. You're hoping that you can jump to the top of the staircase rather than taking the first step.
Hoping to win the lottery.
Yeah, hope is not a strategy. If you set out a plan in motion and you realize I want to be here, but I'm here, you have to have some sort of a strategy, some sort of a thing. Right now I'm going through this in my business, I want to be at a different place to where we are. Not that we haven't been successful at what we're doing, but I want it to be at the next level. If I'm just hoping everything is going to work out, if I hope that those big clients are going to come to me, hope is not a strategy. And so like literally I have been basing what I'm doing and laying strategies and reverse engineering my whole business and my whole life basically because of one sentence that you said to me randomly before you left here one day. And that's the power of stuff like this. And I want to thank you for that. And I wanted to put that out there for everybody here too, is that quote came from him, not from me, but it just like made me alter how I was thinking about everything that I'm doing and how I'm thinking about moving forward. And 5 words can like change a whole person's outlook on their whole life, business, all the things.
Well, people hope all the time that things will just go away if they don't address it. I hear it all the time. I hope it gets better. They say that word to you. Like when you're going through something hard, they're like, hope it gets better. That's some of the hype that we talk about instead of habits and presence, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about hope, that the reason why that resonates so much with me and why I'm grateful to hear that it's impacted you in the way that it is, hoping as a strategy, if that is what you keep saying in front of all the things that you want, you're actually removing yourself and your abilities and your habits and your power from the likelihood that it'll happen. Because it's like flipping a penny in a well, right? If you want to visualize that. You're like, well, I flipped the penny in. Now I'm just wishing. There's no you in that. But if you're like, this is what I want and here's how I'm going to get there, that brings all the confidence back and all the things. And then you can start taking action. But like the helplessness of buying a lottery ticket, there's hope in that. But then you don't control anything else. I literally just pick random. I don't even pick numbers. I literally hope on the randomization of the numbers. And then I hope on that. And then I hope somebody else doesn't like, how's that worked out for most people, right? But some people like need the hope of something new, right? So there is a place for hope. It just can't be the thing you're relying on as your strategy.
It's not a strategy.
Correct.
Correct. To your quote there.
But so like there's a tipping point where you're like, I hope for things. Like in that intrinsic, becoming extrinsic motivation type of hope. Like I have hope that this is going to something, right? But if all you're saying is I hope my business, I hope my channel, because this is where it kind of came into me. I hoped somebody further down the line, somebody more impactful than me, somebody more famous than me, the Ben Nemtons, the Chris Williamsons, the Simon Sinek's, the Tony Robbins, all of them would see and hear what I'm doing and they would pull me. I didn't realize that I was hoping on that. And it was like, I was hoping people would call me to have me be their coach. I was hoping people would have me call me to come be a keynote speaker for them. But what that was doing was preventing me from becoming the person that I am today and who I'm becoming, because I'm not just hoping for that. I'm working for that. Mm-hmm. So if you can shift there, that, again, I appreciate you sharing it here because it's a super powerful thought. But for anybody else watching, just owning that. Like if you're just relying on chance and hope, you're not giving yourself enough credit. Mm-hmm. That's really what I would tell somebody is like, you're more than that.
And using that quote, though, that made me stop and recognize and look as self-reflective as I've been over the last couple years. I was still saying that. And that was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
And, it made me stop. And then to tie it into this episode, I realized what's the first hard thing I need to do, which was deconstructing the whole entire way I do business. And then the next hard thing I needed to do was, which I had already done, was hire on some help to fulfill the things, to give me the amount of time to do the things that I need to do with my business. I needed help. So, and you actually have helped me a lot along the way of getting to the point of being like, you should hire some help, basically. Mm-hmm. You've been nudging me for the last year of us doing this. Also, I want a side note here, is different train track over here. We're coming up on 1 year of doing this podcast. And every week, hearing all these messages and hearing the message and the gratefulness and all the things for a year, I would encourage anyone listening to this right now, if you're listening to this right now, you're the type of person that this whole podcast is for and has been for. Go back and watch the previous episodes. There's tons and tons of good stuff. We've been doing it for right around a year. Mm-hmm. I think it's within the next couple weeks is a year of us doing this together. But you had, done 114 episodes by yourself before that. Mm-hmm. So I'll just encourage anybody to check out the previous episodes. There's a lot of really good stuff. We're kind of in this conversation format now, and it like we've mentioned, it won't always be me that's here, but I love being here. And as much as you want to have me and as much as you guys want to listen to this, I'll be here for it. But there's a lot of good stuff, and just hearing other people's insights or the way that you said that to me that day just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, okay, but me being me, that's where what's the first step then? Mm-hmm. And then, what's the first hard thing? What's the first step? And then we're starting to work from there. I've rebuilt the whole entire website. We have renovated our whole entire office to be multiple studio sets now. Like that's all happened in the last 3 weeks from you telling me that one thing. And I'm just switching my whole mindset to doing things. Whatever it is, I will make a plan to do it, but I'm going to do it. And so the YouTube channel's coming. We've got it scheduled. The first thing scheduled. We have 5 different sets here in the office now that we're working on. Things are happening. It's all because you said one sentence to me, Yeah,
that's awesome.
Not all because of that, but like that was the light switch moment sort of thing for all of this stuff. So
yeah. Well, and the cool thing is when you surround yourself with like-minded people, and Bryon and I have talked about this. So if you are wanting to start a podcast, if you're wanting to do some photos, if you're wanting to do anything for your business, if you have promos, whatever you want to do, and you want to work with somebody who cares as much as you do, Bryon doesn't know what you do yet, but if you give him a chance to learn about it, he will commit, just like he's doing this episodes. This is why like one sentence back and forth can work. And we've talked about this quite a few times, but we've been able to, so the way you make me think about this podcast has shifted. And it all started from a Facebook message or a Facebook post saying, does anybody know anybody, right? We've talked about that. But I want you to win in every area of your life. And I know you want me to succeed and win and all the things too, right? So when you can surround yourself with 2 people in an abundance mindset and a growth mindset, imagine if we had 10 of us in a room. Mm-hmm. This is the power of being willing to be vulnerable and go first. And if I say something like hope isn't a strategy, I'm not implying anything. I'm just sharing. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. And that is about knowing people, right? And so if you want to do business with somebody, again, he will put in the effort. He will care about it. He will make you care more about it. He will tell you things and share things. And he's told me, multiple things, right? And so, Bryon, your feedback to me has mattered. Your effort in the studio matters. The production, you hiring more people, the consistency of every week, these episodes are ready to go. Even when you take time away from your family. So just all of it matters. Like all of the hard things that you're doing to even make this possible, it matters. And so kudos to you for doing what you've done from factory to now, but also in the last 3 weeks, because I can say hope's not a strategy to a lot of people. But there's something inside of you that triggered, and that only triggered because it was already inside of you. I just moved something out of the way for you to be self-aware enough to go, that's actually been my strategy.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people are like, hope's not my strategy, but it may actually be.
Yeah.
Right. So like when you get into these spaces and you get into this personal development and you get into like, put down an ego and just 2 years, vulnerable, humble, take it for what it is. I'm not saying it's the only way. You're not saying anything's the only way. It's just a way. But you being willing to share your way. So again, if there's things that you need that they need, they can let us know, and we'll talk about it. If there's a podcast topic you want us to talk about, we'll dive into it. We'll research it. We'll, give everything we have for it. And that's really the goal, right? Is to make a difference for all of the people that are listening and watching. And it's been growing tremendously. I'm grateful that you're here as a guest, and we're going to have some more great guests coming, getting a bunch of inquiries right now, but it wouldn't have happened if you didn't put in what you put in. Right. And that's the thing is I'm always, and just like you, always going to remember the steps. I'm always going to remember who was here, no matter how big this thing gets, no matter how it goes. Our goal is to contribute, not to get anything from anybody, but to give everything we have. Mm-hmm. And that's who you are as a person. That's who you are as a business owner. It's who you are as a leader, all the different things. And so that's something that I want to give back to you too. And plus to encourage anybody if they're watching. And, I have a lot of people say, I want to start a podcast right now. And that's only because you even said, we're going to take it to the next level. You didn't know we were going to be doing this yet, but this is the next level, right? And we have more levels. Yeah. We're going to keep leveling up because we know it matters, not because we want to look a certain way, but we want to make sure that we add as much value as possible. So thank you for doing this. I know originally a couple weeks ago, this was a hard thing. So to tie up this episode, doesn't feel like a hard thing anymore. Nope. Feels like you're comfortable, feels like you're confident. You have all the prep back here with the cameras. So thank you for being willing to do a hard thing and getting on this side. Cause, like I said, everybody's watching and listening and giving you praise, to me, whether it's through my social media or on the, making comments and subscribing. So, it's important for us to see more subscribers, right? We get to kind of get a sense of who's watching and who's listening. And so hit that subscribe button. We won't email you. It's not a spam thing, right? It just allows us and our channels and our work to get more recognition because those platforms see more subscribers means more value, means more opportunity.
And comments. Comments are one of the biggest drivers of engagement across any social media. So if you're here at the end of this episode and you want to help this podcast be reach more people, leave a comment. It could be good job. It could be a podcast idea for the future. It could be a thumbs up. It could be liking the video. Any of that stuff helps the podcast grow and gets more people to organically see it. Yeah. And we're having people from other countries see this stuff now. Yeah. And so it can only go up from here. We're on the second or third step and we got a whole staircase to go. So yeah. I'm excited for this ride. We've said that from the very beginning. Whenever our first phone call, I was like, I'm excited to see where this could go. Because if you approach things from the genuine spot of wanting what's best for people, which we both have, and I think that is a rare thing to get multiple people together that genuinely want to just see other people do good, then the sky's the limit. There is no ceiling, and it may take 10 years of us doing this, but at some point, something's going to happen, and we will be able to help more people. Yeah. And so I'm confident in that. Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is that pivot from hope, right? It's a matter of, I know what we can do, and we'll just be grateful for every step along the way and take advantage of opportunities when they come along to grow and expand it. And it's really honestly, authentically for all of you. It's so that more of you, the people in your life, the people in your personal life, your work life, anybody in your community, the more they hear things like this, the more empowered they're going to be, which then creates a healthier community. That's really our goal.
And so reaching 1 million people isn't about us saying we reached 1 million people. It's about 1 million lives that are actually feeling more empowered, that are feeling more grateful, more optimistic. They can take on a challenge, and more people just willing to do some more hard things, because we all have the ability to impact each other, right? And no one of us is better than all of us. And so that's the thing, is we don't see anybody with a deficit, because we've all been on our journey. We just want to give back, share the journey, make a difference in people's lives, because we get to, right? We've been blessed with the opportunity to be on this side, because we've been on other sides, but that's really the heart of it all. And I think people see that. They know that we're not trying to get anything. We're not a gimmick. It's just authentic sharing and giving back to people. So I'll wrap up this episode. Bryon, I appreciate you again, and more to come. Bryan's still going to be on here, folks, so don't worry. He's not going anywhere.
I'll be here as long as you guys have me. So.
Yeah. So, but as I wrap up this episode, like we just talked about, I really want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button. It helps me. It helps the show. It helps our audience reach more people. And that's what we're here for. We're here for you. We're here for all of you. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get notifications, but two, so that we can grow this thing and we can build this community of empowered, grateful people making a difference in the world. And I'll remind you, like I do on every episode, and I remind you on every episode because it's always true, that you always have the power and the choice to reshape your mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens. Until the next episode, never stop.